Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel to see the world from a different angle. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification so you will not miss our videos uploaded every week. Today, we discuss Taiwan and explore why no one can stop Beijing from reuniting with the island. At the recent summit in Italy, the G7 countries signed a security agreement with Ukraine at the last minute, and they also voiced their so-called support for Taiwan. Typical lip service again. Since Russia launched the special military operation, 2 years have passed. In the past 2 years, Ukraine lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and millions of Ukrainian refugees ran away from their country to neighboring countries. We hardly believe Taiwan will get more support from G7 countries than Ukraine, as the international community, including the United States, recognizes Taiwan as part of China. Most countries that still maintain diplomatic relations with Taiwan for money are not much bigger than tiny towns or small villages. Taiwan is not comparable with Ukraine, not merely because it is part of China, not an independent country, but also because it is an island, not connected to any other countries via land. Once besieged, no foreign forces could deliver weapons and ammunition to Taipei, let alone troops. Taiwan can never compare itself to Ukraine, and those independent elements should not expect the People's Liberation Army to fight sluggishly like the Russians. The first wave of attacks from Beijing in a possible unification war comes from the air, ground and sea, not conventional landings as in Normandy during the Second World War. Indeed, the US has continuously promised to sell weapons to Taiwan, like the new $360 million deal on June 18, 2024, but Beijing can easily block all seaports and airports in case of war across the strait, and not even a bullet will be shipped into the island. The US has violated the One China rule in recent years by providing a small training program to Taiwan's military, as disclosed by Taiwan's former leader, Tsai Ing-wen, and Washington intends to introduce more similar programs shortly. 2 months ago, the US reportedly deployed its special forces in Kinmen, a small island close to the mainland's Fujian province, but Beijing immediately sent its coastal guards to patrol the island routinely. Kinmen is still a county under Taiwan province, but it is under Beijing's control now. As we said earlier, given the region in which Taiwan is located, in the event of a war in the Taiwan Strait, foreign forces would not be able to provide Taiwan with the same level of military support as they support Ukraine. The fact that the 7 major industrialized nations are paying lip service to maintaining the so-called peace in Taiwan doesn't make any difference when Beijing wants to reunite with the island by force. The new Taiwan leader, Lai Ching-te, was very excited about the G7 paying lip service to the island. However, he did not understand that G7 cannot stop China anymore. Since the Korean War in the 1950s, all countries in the world have realized that it is not easy to defeat the Chinese army as the 8-nation alliance bullied the Qing dynasty 1 century ago. The Chinese Ministry of National Defense has made a clear statement on the Taiwan issue, saying that the People's Liberation Army will not stop its training and preparations, and instead, it will make all efforts to fight against Taiwan independence and promote unification. The Chinese army will not hesitate to fight against external interference. The spokesman for the People's Liberation Army declared that Chinese troops are in a state of full combat readiness, willing to defend the country against all independence elements and foreign forces. China asserted that it would impose the death penalty in extreme cases for die-hard Taiwan independent separatists in the newly published criminal code on June 21, 2024. In recent years, the United States has realized that China is more formidable than Russia. For the United States and other Western countries, the conditions in the Taiwan Strait are far worse than those in Ukraine. If a war does break out, the People's Liberation Army of China can lock down the island, and foreign armies will not be able to bring their weapons into the region. Moreover, America's military-industrial complex does not have enough capacity to provide enough weapons and ammunition to its clients. The Ukraine war and the conflict in the Middle East have depleted America's safety stock, which may take a while to refill. By the way, no one, including those attending the G7 summit, takes G7 statements seriously. Does anyone still remember the so-called Build Back Better that Biden promoted 2 or 3 years ago? All G7 countries added together cannot beat China's manufacturing capacity, and China has long become the world's most industrialized country, like the US during World War II. Unlike the former Soviet Union focusing only on military and heavy industries, China has developed itself into a superpower on all fronts, capable of making all kinds of products from needles to space stations. The Chinese military has particularly made tremendous progress in the past decades. Through the Joint Sword 2024, a military exercise, the Chinese army has demonstrated to the world its advanced combat power, and at the same time, it has also let the military experts on both sides of the Taiwan Strait know the gap between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait nowadays. If Beijing launches a unification operation against Taiwan, which becomes more and more probable, how long can it finish the battle? Taiwan's generals have been advocating the combat power of Taiwan's military with America's possible support, but some military experts and retired military leaders have a better understanding of Taiwan's military strength. Taiwan's retired General Chang Yenting told his audience in a military program that according to Beijing's military level and mainland soldiers' combat effectiveness, Taiwan's defense forces cannot withhold China mainland's attacks for 96 hours. He said that if Beijing wanted to launch a military operation in the Taiwan Strait, it would be certainly a lightning war to avoid the intervention of external forces and minimize the international shock. Beijing would rely on long-range missile strikes on Taiwan's main defense forces, and the first battle would paralyze Taiwan's main resistance, and then it would be the landing of large regiments covered by sea, land and air firepower. At the same time, electronic and information warfare can lock down the whole island, making those Taiwan independence elements unable to seek help from external forces. Under such an all-out attack by the PLA, it is very difficult for Taiwan's defense sector to withstand. Moreover, Beijing has supersonic long-range ballistic missiles that Taiwan cannot intercept, and the People's Liberation Army will use these missiles to destroy Taiwan's radars at the beginning of the war, and airports and other key facilities like arsenal and camps will also be targeted. Once these facilities are destroyed, Taiwan will not be able to do anything. After the first wave of missile attacks and following airstrikes, Beijing's navy will send amphibious landing ships to start landing operations. Chang Yenting argued that Taiwan's defense can only withstand Beijing's assault for 4 days, which is already a very conservative estimation. Chang Yenting's judgment is mainly based on the huge gap between Beijing and Taipei's defense capabilities and their soldiers' combat skills. Many young people on the island are reluctant to join the army. Although it is compulsory for Taiwanese youths, Taiwan's Air Force still has many vacancies to fill. Taiwan's fighter jets are outdated and worst of all, there are not enough pilots to fly them. Taiwanese service people are known as strawberry soldiers, and their training standards are extremely low. The People's Liberation Army will least likely encounter strong resistance when they successfully land on the island. China mainland now has 3 aircraft carriers that can lock the island from all directions, and the Taiwan Strait is too narrow to prevent Beijing's J-20 and J-16 fighters from covering the whole island. The new J-20 stealth fighters, which Taiwan's radar systems cannot detect, are now equipped with new engines and perform even better than America's F-22 and F-35 fighters. Many of Taiwan's fighter jets are retired second-hand F-16 jets that should be exhibited in military museums, incomparable with Beijing's 5th-generation fighters. Ironically, Taiwan wants to buy drones from the United States, while over 50% of drones in the United States are made in China mainland. When war breaks out between Beijing and Taipei, the swamp of drones from the mainland will cover the island like butterflies and bees. Still, Beijing does not have to launch an all-out war against Taiwan, as it can gradually strangulate the island with routine military drills, approaching the island like peeling an onion. Economic measures will play a key role in demoralizing Taiwan. The suspension of ECFA, the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement between Beijing and Taipei, will deal a fatal blow to Taiwan's already worsening economy. China's mainland has suspended the tariff reduction for more than 100 items imported from Taiwan. China's reunification has begun, and no one can stop the process. However, it will not be a simple military takeover. The West, headed by the US, is planning to abandon Taiwan, and it even prompts China mainland to attack the island by force. The new Taiwan leader's provocative remarks on May 20 should have been approved in advance by the US. If the United States wants to maintain the status quo in the Taiwan Strait, it will not allow Lai Ching-te to refer to Taiwan as a country and China mainland as another. The American Institute in Taiwan has reportedly sent emails to American citizens in Taiwan to learn how to evacuate the island, which clearly shows the US is willing to sacrifice Taiwan when war comes, exactly as it had done before the Ukraine war broke out. However, China mainland will not start the military takeover shortly, unless Lai Ching-te openly announces Taiwan as an independent country. It only takes Beijing 1 second to let out the first bullet, but all other possible means will be tried before pulling the trigger.